Baruch Dayan Hamet. We praise the Judge of Truth. We're going to begin with Psalm 121. Here, step on this side all the way over there. I'll do it in the Hebrew, and great-grandson Hayden is going to do it in the English. Esai enai el hari, Esai enai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai aseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha ad yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yekerka v'yarech balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzedcha v'uecha me'ata v'ad olam.
I lift my eyes to the mountain. From where will my help come? My help will come from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot falter. Your guardian does not slumber. Indeed, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers or sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. The Lord is your protective shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, not the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. He will guard your soul. The Lord will guard your going and your coming from now and for all time.
Amen.
Amen.
And together let us recite the 23rd Psalm in English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So we gather today to pay tribute and to celebrate the life of a good man, a decent man, graced this earth for 96 years. He was born on January 27th, 1922, and he passed on January 27th, 2018. It is the completion of a cycle. He was a big Tribe fan, big baseball fan, so it's not like hitting for the cycle, but almost. He was... It's the completion of a cycle that 1 out of 365 days doesn't happen very often. Clarence Vincent. His Yiddish name was Kalman. Kalman is Shlomo, Solomon. Peace be upon him. He was a self-employed plumber, hard-working, and with a quick wit. He called himself a drain surgeon. He loved sports as well as loving the tribe, loved bowling. He was strong-willed, which is another way of saying stubborn. And for each of us, look, you can be stubborn in a good way. He was married to Ruth for more than 66 years. You have to be stubborn to be involved with someone for that long, and you're stubbornly in love with the person. And sometimes our stubbornness isn't good, but mostly, you want somebody with some stick-to-itiveness, and he had that. He was sharp until the end. He was personable. He was a loving son, husband, father, uncle, probably a great-uncle, grandfather, great-grandfather, confidant, counselor. He was a good friend. He was not particularly religious, but he was particular, and he was regimented. And he had his way of doing things, and he kept to it. So in that way, he was religious, because being religious means keeping life in order, doing things in order, and following through with things. After Ruth passed away in October 2013, he said he was going to come to our shul, our synagogue, and say Kaddish for her for 11 months. And he did. He made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at the end of our Sabbath worship services every week when he came, because for, well, it's probably 10 years now, we've been making PB&J and take them down to the homeless in the city every Friday night after services. If you're observant as a Jew, don't worry, I only drive the PB&J van on Shabbos, that's all. But we go down and we serve the PB&J. And he came and made sandwiches, and he said Kaddish for his dear Ruth, and the kids couldn't believe that he was making sandwiches, because at the time of Ruth's passing, this is what they said about their dear mother in October 2013, when last we gathered for something like this in your family. The kids said it was a great marriage. Mom never drove, and Dad never made a sandwich. He called her babe all the time. They held hands when they walked together. Dad always kissed Mom on the lips when they parted company. It's really not smart to use words like always and never when you're having an argument with your wife or your husband. You know, you always this, you never that. It's not a good thing. But sometimes you can use the words always and never. He never missed an opportunity to tell her he loved her. He always left and gave her a kiss. These are good always and nevers. So he was religious in the sense of being regimented and following through, and these are important characteristics. Yesterday, not everyone could make it over to Paulus to talk about him, but about 10 people did squeeze around the table. And as we shared stories about Carrie, it was a reminder of an upcoming Torah portion, an upcoming parashah. In March, we're going to read from the parashah called Vayakel. It's Exodus chapter 35. In Vayakel, our ancestors were commanded to bring materials and to construct the tabernacle, the wilderness sanctuary, as they schlepped through the wilderness for 40 years. So the Torah tells us that everything was going according to plan because people were bringing their gifts, and people brought, and they continued to bring. They just kept bringing. There was just one problem. Our ancestors didn't know when to stop bringing. And finally, Moses made a proclamation. In Exodus chapter 36, verse 6, please check this. Let no man or woman make further efforts toward gifts for the sanctuary. And so as we sat and talked about Carrie, it was a reminder of this Torah teaching, because in so many ways he didn't know when to stop either. He was caring, he was generous, he was strong-willed, he was loving, constantly with the chocolate-covered raisins, all sorts of things. He just, thank God, didn't know when to stop being all of those things and doing those things. He was born here in Cleveland to Sam and Eva Vincent. He was born January 27th, 1922. He was their only child. In 1946, Ruth and Carrie met at a house party. There was some question yesterday how they met, when they met exactly, but these are actually his words from your mother's eulogy. In Carrie's words, I was on a blind date, and the girl I was with wouldn't talk. I met Ruth as we were walking in between the kitchen and the dining room. I saw her and asked my buddy for her phone number. That was the beginning. We were married by Rabbi Rosenthal of blessed memory, June 14th, 1947. And he went on to say, we had more than 66 great years. I wish we could be married another 60 years. She was a fine woman. She didn't raise her voice. It was a loving marriage. They were blessed with 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. And here they are. Andy married to Mitchell. Paula. Daryl, or Butch married to Sherry. Debbie, married to Chris, and then the grandchildren. Matt, married to Amy, Scott, to Carrie, Chad, to Jenny, David, Lisa, Alicia, Brandon, Sarah, Sam, Nikki, Ricky, and the great-grandchildren. Hayden, who read Psalm 121 so beautifully in the English. Jake, the youngest one, he was born just a couple of months after Ruth passed away. Lexi, Jamie, Sophie, Jackson, Camden, Indigo, Maple. Carrie called Jake the electrician because the kid just loves playing with light switches. And he knew which light switches would turn on and off which lights at his great-grandpa's house. So it's not just playing with light switches, it's actually turning on lights. There's cause and effect in life. He's learning this at a very young age. Carrie and Ruth loved traveling and went throughout America. They went to Europe. They loved the time they spent at their home in Arizona. They went out west for about 20 years. And he loved to drive, and he actually took a few different routes to get there because there's so much of this big, beautiful country to see. Everyone around the table, I said who said this, but it's just not that important for all of us to know exactly who said what. You know what you said, if you can remember. Dad wasn't a complainer. He didn't share about his ailments. He liked potato latkes with grape jelly. I know, it was a little strange to hear, but he said, and now our congregation eats them that way too. He loved Westerns. He loved cowboy movies. He loved World War II movies. He loved animals. There was a squirrel that used to inhabit the bird feeder, and he tried to figure out how to keep the squirrel out of the bird feeder. He did pretty well, but the squirrel would just find a way to get back in the bird feeder. So then he just started feeding the squirrel. And apparently there's a rabbit and all sorts of other things to get to the bird feeder. In the morning, he would eat religiously after he would say his prayers, which not be a bad thing for people to do. He would have raisin bran mixed with honey bunches of oats and 2% milk, only 2% milk every morning. Some of the grandkids said when they were young and they'd stayed over at the house, he would have a banana with the raisin bran, and he would put the banana at the place where the kids would, before the kids would wake up. So the kid would come, there's the banana for the cereal. Matt said that there were times that he was into deer hunting, and then Butch said, but we never actually got anything. We'd go out because we like to go out and be in the woods. There was a time when we were all scared to death when a whole huge flock of turkeys flew up right in front of us. He was proud that he served in the Army Air Corps. He was a pilot during World War II. The flag is emblematic of his service, for which we are deeply grateful. We wouldn't be, as Jews, probably many of us wouldn't be here if the United States hadn't entered World War II. He was a pilot. He flied C-47s and many others as well. His grandson, Brandon, did the honor flight with him in 2014. He was so proud of his service in the Army Air Corps that he wanted to show grandkids, this is Matt's story about the Air Force bases, and they got to an Air Force base that he was showing the grandkids, and he's flashes whatever this ID is. Apparently it's an ID that he was supposed to have given back a long time ago. So he gets in, and they go over on the runway, and they get to a plane that he flew. So probably the same type of plane that he flew, and he gets out of the car, and he's going over and showing the kids, and pretty soon, a bunch of MPs showed up with big weapons. They said, "What are you guys doing here?" And Carrie flashes the ID, and they go, "Wait, you're not supposed to have that ID." So he took the ID from Carrie, which it was very sad about that. And they interrogated him for a couple of hours, or so the grandson says. It was probably 15 minutes, but the grandson says they were there for a long time, and the worst thing about the whole deal is they took his ID. The family wants to make sure that they express their gratitude to Hospice of the Western Reserve. Took really, really good care of Carrie. And in addition to that, his caregivers, Barbara Galat and Marva Clemens. Barbara, stayed around the clock for days. And your love for Carrie was evident, and the family really, really appreciates it. It has been extremely difficult these last months, and there's no need to chronicle all of the medical difficulties, but as we know, he had a very strong will. He wanted to live to his 96th birthday, and he did. And so on Shabbat, he breathed his last on Saturday. And now there's no more deterioration or pain. He is at peace. And just like Shabbat, just like Shabbos is a day of rest, so it is a time of rest for your dear Carrie. Also, his wife Ruth passed away on Shabbos in 2013. So it's another one of these cycles. Born on the same calendar day, passes away on the same calendar day. Years apart, Ruth passes away on Shabbos, and he passes away on Shabbos. So his soul is returning to God to be with the souls of his dear relatives and friends and the ancestors of our people. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. And one day, all of us will go to this time called Olam Haba. Olam Haba, the world to come, it's a time. It's not a place. This is a place. The cemetery to which we go to place the body in the ground, this is a place. That's a place. This is Olam Haba is a time. And it's an entirely spiritual existence, and you, in a spiritual sense, will be together with your loved ones again. God will take care of the souls of our loved ones. The family has allowed us to send along some old prayer books, a few old prayer books in the casket with Carrie, so that not only do we provide a respectful burial for his body, but also respectful burial for holy books of our tradition. There are many, many memories and many, many, many stories. And we give thanks to God for this gift of long life, and for most of it, a life he was sharp and healthy. And so as you think of him, you should come up with ways to commemorate his loving memory. Things like Raisin Brands, things like bananas, things like learning how to do some good plumbing work. Things like finding joy when the kid is turning the lights on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off. Things that might be things that would aggravate you a little bit. Find a way to smile and remember Carrie. And so we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 20. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, yimru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed, Clarence Vincent. And let us say Amen. Please rise for El Malei Rachamim. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of our dear Carrie Vincent. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Im Kedoshim U'Tohorim, Kezohar HaRakia Masirim, Et Nishmat Kalman Ben Shmuel, Shahalach Le'olamo, Ba'al HaRachamim, Yastirehu B'Seter Kanafav Le'olamim, Vayitzroh B'Tzor HaChaim, Et Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nacharato, V'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Carrie Vincent, Kalman Ben Shmuel. He has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. In a moment, we will be given instructions for the procession to Zion Cemetery. The family wishes to let you know that if you wish to make donations in Carrie's loving memory, contributions are suggested to a charity or charities of your choice. We will, after going to Zion, be going to Debbie and Chris's house, 14265 County Line Road. 14265 County Line Road, and we'll do a little minyan when we get back to the house, and gather for the mourner's meal. And the family is sitting today until 8, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 to 4, and 7 to 9. And when we get to the house, we'll figure out what we want to do for, or if they want to do minyan at that point, we'll announce it. We'll say Kaddish for him at Temple Israel Ner Tamid. He'll be on the Kaddish list of other congregations as well. Our Friday night services are at 7:30, and we'll be saying Kaddish for him every Wednesday afternoon for a month with the Hebrew school kids who need reps in the Kaddish, and for the Sunday school kids as well, we'll say Kaddish for him. So this concludes our service here at the funeral home, and the funeral directors will come in and give us direction now.